Hello. How's it going out there? You hear me all right? All righty. Thank you. I actually scheduled 2 of these for today for this month. We get done early today, get it on the 5th, and I got time before Thanksgiving weekend to do another one. So, and it looks like I got the lights right, but everything's dark because it gets dark now. 5:30, man, the lights out. Judith, you're welcome. I'm glad to do them. I I hope they keep being useful. Most of the times I don't know whether that useful, especially if not a lot of questions are sent. Then I don't know what to talk about. So I thought we'd talk about a few things. I wrote down 2 or 3 things that I think would be good to talk about in general, and just to discuss while people are joining. Yeah, daylight savings time would be nice. With all electricity and light bulbs and stuff, seems like we wouldn't have to worry so much about that, but I get it. Australia, Lynn. Thanks for joining us. I thought I'd wait just a couple more minutes, maybe until 7:35. Did anybody show up at Halloween? As it turned out in my house, my wife's kind of laid up because she had some back surgery, and I'm running around like a crazy man, and we ended up not, putting out a little sign that said, "Sorry, see you next year." We're out to the graveyard, digging bones and stuff, so we're not available. But Judith, you're saying when you click on recents, you like the cursor to automatically be in the box. Let me go look at that. All right, let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying. Recents. That's a reasonable thing. Let me see. Make a note here. Now you're just getting efficient, is what you're doing now. Let's see. Okay, that's a reasonable suggestion. Thank you. Susanville. I don't know where. I haven't heard of Susanville, California. Layton, welcome. Connecticut. Tom, thanks. Let's see here. Lynn said, I was at a ward council on Halloween night, so missed out on seeing the neighborhood kids. What? They couldn't schedule that for a different night? My gosh. It only comes once a year. So that's unfortunate. So, Lynn, you said, why are the reasons this information is correct showing up all the time? You you have detail view or you don't have a detail view. So if you set the person page with a detail view, it'll remember that and show you that. If you take it off a detail view, I think those things don't show up on the screen unless you click through. Let's see, Susanville is about 80 miles north of Reno, Nevada, in northeastern California. Okay. All right. My mom used to live in, well, I don't know if I can remember where she lived. It's by Roseville. So we used to drive. I drove out there a lot when my dad was sick and stuff. And we ended up having her move out here. So, okay, you got fed. So that was a Samoan feast. That's even better, right? Yeah, you get the pulled pork. You get all of the goodies that way. Always like the pulled pork. We have a Polynesian. Well, she's Polynesian, and her husband's from Hawaii, and I finally got out of her the pulled pork, her pulled pork recipe. It's pretty simple, but it's really good. I'm always surprised. I don't know. Let me go look and see what you're talking about. I've always used Detail View 2, but I don't know. I'd have to go look around. Maybe I'll go to my tree for a minute and see if I can find somebody that has any reason statements. I'm looking at the living. It doesn't really. I don't really have anything there for that. So let me look at one of my ancestors. I don't know if it's annoying. I think it's always been that way. You do detail view and it sees the reason statements. Now maybe you're in a PID that people are putting in mile-long reason statements, but you still only should see a couple of lines and you have to click it to see more. You have a PID or something, I can go look. I don't think anything's changed there. Yeah, Judith, you're asking, when I sign in a tree, I always have to enlarge the screen. Is there any way that it can be reset to open with a bigger view? That's something you have to set in the browser. So you have to do your plus stuff, which I'm sure you're doing. That's what you're doing. But I think our stuff is 14-point font, which is reasonably larger than most websites. But I'm not aware. I don't know any tricks with the browsers to get it to open that way going forward. Although I think I remember some browsers. I remember if you grew it, it would just remember that zoom ratio. Of course, the more zoom you get, the more things start falling off the sides. Yeah, you're using plus. Yeah. So get maybe a bigger screen. I don't know. Bigger screen, and then you can plus it, and then I don't know. I got to remember if there was a way. I'll look around. Seems like there's a place I found where you could get it to stay that certain size. Let me see. Let's just look at my Chrome here. Yeah, you can do zoom on Chrome, and I bet you it remembers it. So I'll have to give it a whirl. All right, let me grab that PID, take a look, and then I'll start talking about a few things here. I'm gonna go to that PID, see what you're seeing. Yeah, all right, here we go. I don't know if it looks like what would be normal. It's just that the people that are putting in your stuff are being good citizens and putting in their reason statements. That's a good thing. All right. Well, while the rest of us are gathering, I thought maybe I could talk about a few things, just for people in Utah County a little bit, and maybe for some others. Let me see if I can get that to look just a little bit better. Trying to make sure that you can see my face. So I want to talk a little bit about Utah County, and in Utah County, there's a pilot that's still going on, and it'll probably continue, where they're not returning cards back after an ordinance is done. So I thought I'd spend just a minute or two talking about why that is, and what are things that we're looking at to help in those cases where the temple is not returning cards. So let me talk a little bit about the reason there. And I'm sorry if you've heard this before, but I think it's worth repeating. There's multiple reasons why it's advantageous for the temple to not return the cards. For example, in the other temples that are outside of Utah County, there's a few outside of Utah County that have moved to not returning cards. But what happens is you're a worker. Let's just say you're a worker, and if there's any workers out there, you can tell me whether I'm this is what I believe is happening. You can tell me if that's true or not. What happens is, let's say people go through an endowment, and the cards are being collected, and the worker feels like it's important for that to get recorded and for the card to be put on the credenza in time for you to leave without having to stand around waiting for those cards. You're off to the locker rooms or whatever to change into your clothes so you can leave. And so they race down to the recorder's office and they hand them a stack of cards for that particular session. Meanwhile, a session happening every 20 minutes. And so here's the recorder, and they get a stack. And if you're a larger temple, that could be, several hundred in that stack. And they have to record them. They're running beep, beep, beep through the scanner. And they're trying to make sure that every card gets counted. But they're having to hurry because that worker is standing there saying, well, you got to hurry up. It's been, 15 minutes or whatever. And they're going to be done. And they don't want to stand around waiting. And so then the recorder, feels pressure to go faster. And because of that, then there's an increased chance that things won't be recorded properly. And because while he's in the middle of doing that, another worker shows up with another stack of cards from the next session that happens. And so they're just going crazy, and they're trying to be accommodating and helpful and fast so you can pick up your card and leave. And it's just causing a lot of issues, people running up and down stairs, the recorder having to record, super speed and missing some scanning of cards. And the whole purpose for doing this is to make sure that we record that an ordinance was done in the temple so that it doesn't get done again and it gets recorded properly. So the experiment was, if we don't return the cards, will we get better results in proper recording, which is the main intent for the temple. Because if it's not recorded in our records, then we've been told it's not recorded in heaven. Now, I believe heaven keeps better records than we do. But the expectation is that it's recorded. And of course, the recording is actually the witnesses seeing it. So that's why they're more accurate in heaven, because they know who's there and what they're seeing. And but on our side, we need to record it as well so that we know not to do it again, so we don't waste our time, because we have so many billions of people to do. We don't have time to do it again. So they did this trial, and this pilot, which I think has become semi-permanent in Utah County. And what they do now is they take the cards and then they keep them in the office, and they record them, and then they set them aside, and they record them a second time. And the reason why they're doing that is to just doubly make sure that that particular ordinance and for that PID has been recorded. And they get a message on their screen if it's already been recorded. So then they know, okay, that one's good. Sometimes they run across one that didn't get recorded because they were hurrying or something. So now it gets recorded. And from what I'm hearing from several of the temple recorders, in those situations, they're asking them to set that card aside, and then they do an investigation to figure out what happened that caused that card not to get recorded the first time, because now they're looking for accuracy. and they do it at their pace without being interrupted. So more piles come in, but they don't have to deal with them right immediately, so people can have them when they leave. They can just continue to do their process. What we found out is accuracy is way up, and they're actually recording more cards. They're actually recording them faster, and of course more accurately. And I think that's because they could come up with a pattern that they can use and get accustomed to, and they're not being interrupted. And that's just making all the difference in that work. Now, I also understand that when, so Idaho is not returning cards. Yeah, temple presidents are kind of liking this because when you're not returning the cards, it creates less clogging in the hallways. It reduces the number of crowds that are hanging around the credenza. It's causing more reverence and less stress on the recorders and the staff and stuff doing that. So they found lots of values inside the temple, including accurately recording, and they like it. Then they're liking it. So, but we also at FamilySearch recognize that there's reasons that you don't want to keep printing cards and things like that. So, and you want those cards back to prove that those ordinances have been done. And even though it's not very often that we have one that's not recorded properly, it's traditionally been because of the hurrying up. With these temples, they're recording 100% accuracy, so things should be better. But I can still understand the desire for a piece of paper that has recorded ordinances on them for either like a receipt kind of thing, or for your mementos that you want to keep to see all the great work you've done. And so we're looking at a couple of things. I wanted to get your opinion on it and views. We're looking at providing a completed list. Now, that completed list, if we show a completed list, it won't be all the things you've completed since you had an account with New FamilySearch or Family Tree. It'll just be like things that have happened in maybe a certain amount, several thousand or something like that, or a time period, a year or two's worth. And the reason we do that is show them to you so that you have it, and that you could print these sort of receipts from this completed list. You'll be able to print an output that says these are the ordinances that were done, and this was the temple and the date that those ordinances were done, and then you could keep it in your file, keep it in your records. So we're looking at that. I think it would be valuable. So let me know here in your thing if you think that that's something that would be useful to you. Another thing is people, especially those who have time to do lots of genealogy, often have large reservation lists, and they like to share them with their family and friends or associates, and provide that for the ward and so forth. So we also want to have the idea of a group reservation list. So that's another thing we're thinking about. So in a group reservation list, what would happen is you go and create a group. You can invite anybody you want to be part of that group. And once you create that group and they begin to come, so you have control over who can be in that group and who can't. Then we'll provide a reservation list for that group. And then you could take your reservation on your reservation list and share that reservation to the group. And then it would appear on the group list. It would also still appear on yours. That's our intent, is it would still stay on yours. It'll look like you shared to the temple, but you really didn't. You shared it with the group. You could share just specific ordinances with the group if you wanted to. And then the idea of this one is people have had a lot of reservations. They print their cards and they put them in a stack, and they put them in an envelope and they mail it to other people, and then they tell them you got to mail it back, so I have it to go give to somebody else to do the other ordinances. You wouldn't have to do any of that anymore. You just put it into the group list, and then someone in the group says, well, I'll go do the baptism and confirmation. So they pull that out and they go do that baptism and and confirmation. If they don't do it in 90 days, it'll come back to the list. If they get it done, then it's done, and then the next person will go, I'll go do the initiatories. Okay, and they can go grab some initiatories and do them, and when they're done, it's recorded in that list, and I think it fulfills the same purpose of sending the cards and getting the cards back, and you can watch them get done, and then when it gets completed, it shows up on when the ordinances are done. It shows up on your completed list, and you can print your sheet that documents that stuff was done. So let me go through the list here and see if there's any questions here. If you're doing multiple ordinances sequentially for a person that day, after the last ordinance is completed, you will not get your card back. That's right. Now, that is the thing I need to make sure you understand. In all the temples, the rule is if you come in with a card and you got all of the ordinances there, you can tell them, I want to do all of this card today. And so what they'll do is they'll put your card in a special envelope. Usually that's what I see them do. And they'll carry those cards to the next station for you while, like, so you go do baptism confirmation, then they'll take your cards and then move them and set them over at the initiatory desk. When you go there, you'll be able to do the initiatories, and then they'll move it to the they give them back your card there, and you can go do the endowment, things like that, so that you can do a whole card in one day, or maybe even a couple of cards. I don't know if you can do that in a whole day, maybe, but they'll also support that. Yeah, Jordy, I see. Yeah, it would be nice. The only problem, and you can do that essentially today. You can take your phone in and take it to the office and show them a barcode that you got from your cards, and they'll print their cards for you right there. I don't see people carrying phones through the ordinances and stuff, so probably not anything there. I don't see that coming anytime soon. Yeah, and you should be happy. Judith says, as long as I see it recorded in FamilySearch, I'm happy. And that's right. If it's showing up there, then it's been recorded. You'll still get your message internally that tells you when it was recorded and what temple and what time. If you submitted the ordinance to the general temple queue, you will get an email notice. Yes, you will. If you submitted something to the temple and somebody pulls that out of the temple, either through ordinances ready or they go to that particular PID and reserve the stuff that you shared, when that gets completed, you also get a message that tells you those are done. And in the future, if as we're working on this completed list, you would see it on your completed list as well. Now, this family group reservation list, those would also get you notifications of that when those are done. I've been printing a FOR to take to the temple to have them print the cards there. Then I bring home the FOR, which is good enough for me. Yeah, that works great too. Yeah, I'd love to report that shows what work was done, where and when on an annual basis. It's probably going to be by count. If you do a lot, a year you may do more than. Well, we'll have to see. It's unclear. We just don't want to have the overhead of the show you everything you've done for a year if you've done, especially if you shared them out and stuff, hundreds of thousands. The list sounds better than handing out cards and trying to keep track. That's right. I think it would be a great way to do it. That's why we're suggesting it. Oh, yeah. Temple recommend. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if they ever go to electronic temple recommend, but I don't know. Having the notices of completed ordinances by group would be cool. You'd see the icons change to done is what you would see, or the reservation would disappear like a normal list. Are there any additional skin changes similar to the new one on the Find tab? Well, what's happening is we are changing. So you're seeing little changes happen. Sometimes there's significant changes, like the merge was pretty different than our previous merge. What's happening is we're moving to a new technology. We're moving to a different development stack. It's the software we use underneath our software to allow us to paint things on the screen. And for those who are in the know, we're going to React technology, and the teams are taking advantage of that when they're slowly changing different parts to React. And as they're doing it, they're re-looking at what the screens are doing and seeing if we can make a better experience. Yeah, before React, we used Polymer from Google. We were a little ahead of the game in that one. As it turned out, Google's decided to no longer support Polymer. So that's why we're moving to React. All right. Oh, another thing I want to make sure you're all aware of, black background. I don't know. I have to look at that. That's something we would have to do inside the web app. So yeah, and by the way, programmers and developers all like the black background too. Let me make a note of it. I don't even know if we can do that with that. Okay, another thing I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about, and then I'll go start looking at some questions because I don't have very many questions. So I want to talk a little bit about Get Involved. Get Involved is a blog area. I'll put in there in the chat the URL of where that Get Involved is. And the thing I'm interested in making you aware of is hold on a minute here. Where are you? Copy that. I'll put it down here. So it's in a blog right now, but we may do more with this. The one thing I'm really interested in telling you about and to get involved is improve place names. I don't know how many of you have done that, but the idea of improved place names under the Get Involved blog area is to, and we also have it on the website or on the mobile. And the idea is that we did an analysis on standardized places, and we found that there was a whole bunch of places that needed to be redone because the standards were wrong. And so we created this tool, and you can do 10 at a time. And what it does is it shows you information on the person, sort of their name and the place that was originally entered in. And then you can see suggested matches. You scroll a little further down, you can see what the other information data may have, other vitals and other information, so that you can get a hint. Was this in Kansas? Is this in Europe? Is this in wherever, to kind of get your head in the right place? And then you choose the best answer for the standardized place. Now, recognize that not every place is an exact match of what the person might have typed in, because sometimes they'll take a census and they'll just take it and attach it to the person and take whatever value is in that census. And it could have things like, municipal 123, block 495, and then the rest of the stuff. So you're not ever going to find a standard that has that kind of stuff in it. There is a few in there that they've added, but try to look at the country, the city, the area in that name and pick the one that's most like the one that would represent the country and the state or the province and maybe even the town or city. And that's close enough. And what we're trying to do is get the standard in there, and what that does is help us find records and other matching people that might be from the same area. And the way we use the standards is it's flexible, meaning if you put a country, then we'll find people that are in the same country that kind of match. If you do country and state, for example, we'd find those that are in the state that match. And further on, if you go to a city, down to city level, we kind of look at the city level. So that's the value of the standard, is it allows us to understand what place on the planet you're talking about. Okay, Warren says we've been instructed not to accept Temple recommends as a picture on a phone as we don't have a way to validate it at the time. Right. Yeah, they got to be able to scan the barcodes too. Are the partners, in addition to Ancestry and Genealogy Bank, going to add link to FamilySearch functionality, i.e. pass-through data and source info? We're talking about that with them all the time. We have several partners that do that, and we're working with others that are now interested in trying to do so. So I don't know about Ancestry because they kind of already, theoretically, if you share your tree over there, they'll give you hints from them, and then you can attach them to your tree in Ancestry if you're a member of the church, and then those can come back to FamilySearch. So I don't know if they do other things or not. Okay. Now, all right. Well, that's some of the stuff I wanted to talk about. I was also going to talk maybe about a very basic thing is why did we make Family Tree Open Edit? But I think I'll say that for another time. Let me go over and look at some questions that were submitted. I think a couple of these may be a repeat from last time, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss them. This one says, when you have a non-member in living status that has died, what is the process to report her to be deceased? And I think what you have to do is find a death certificate, or Social Security death index, things like that. And then you have to report that to support, and then they'll take care of that. Next one, this one's from Jordy. When will the new image viewer be used for the catalog? And I think I took a note on that, but I haven't got an answer back on that one. The catalog, when you go into the catalog, it has these, they're called DGS numbers, and that has a grouping. And so the image viewer, the idea is you've already cataloged down into a particular set, and you're just wanting to look through those sets. But I get what you're saying, that you want to also be able to use the power of the search the images based on the metadata that are in there to try to jump ahead further into the microfilm set. So I get that. Let's see. Search image viewer on DGS catalog stuff. Put a question mark there. I haven't heard anything about that, but I don't always get full information from records kind of side of the camp. Carolyn says, how can I get a reminder when you're going to have a live session? So I do the reminders over on Facebook, Family History Ron on Facebook. So you would have to go over to Facebook. If you want to get a reminder, you like my Facebook page, Ron at Family History Ron, and that should get you a message when I schedule an event. Jordy asks, is there any order to the hints on a person? Like if a person has 20 hints, are they sorted by type of hint, date of event in the hint, or anything like that? I think it would be cool if they were sorted by event date. Yeah, they're not. They're just, I don't think there's any sorting involved there. We just match that up and give you the set that we have. I don't think there's any ordering involved in that particular set. I'm not sure why that would necessarily help you. Now, it will, once you attach those sources, certainly you can sort them by event date in the sources section. When I search, this is from Deborah. When I search on FamilySearch and look at an actual document, the image index and information tabs are open at the bottom of the screen. I never ever use them and always have to close them. Is it possible to have the default be closed instead of open? Well, I don't know. We are working on a new image viewer. So I'll put that down here as can have option to open image viewer, right? Trying to read this and make sure it's right. close the tabs on bottom. Okay, I'll take that to that team. Alrighty, well, that's everything that people sent in. So now I need you to ask questions here so we can talk about some more things. And let's see, researching my family tree, and obituary worked to report a living person as deceased. Okay, so that would work. Send an obituary from like the paper or something, and send that in to support. That'd probably be good enough. They'll go look at the newspaper too and check it out. But that would certainly work. You can also do reminders here by subscribing and hitting the bell. Yeah, you'll also get, yeah, YouTube will also give them too, because I'm always doing it in YouTube too. Is there a reason Genealogy Bank is not yet showing as a partner site? Let me go look here. We have. I got to go refresh my brain as to who's showing up where. Let me go look here. Just have to get someone deceased. Oh well, I don't know. There's rules on what they have to do in order to allow them to show up on that tab. So I don't know, and that's interesting. I had a partner meeting today too, with about all the partners, and I didn't, that hasn't come up yet. Let me just write a note here. Yeah, okay. YouTube reminders generally come up the day before the event and when the event starts if you're following. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that is true. Genealogy Bank only had a certain number of individuals that could join, I think. It's not everyone. How often are we getting batch updates from places like Find the Grave and Billion Graves? I think they send stuff to us every month, but let me double check on that. I think it's monthly or so. How often get updates on Find a Grave and Billion Graves? Yeah, I think it's monthly, but I'll go double check with the team. They send us updates. Okay. All righty, we got anything else? It's 8 o'clock. Let me see. There's a couple other things I can talk about. Let me see. Look at a little file here. All right, so everybody knows about RootsTech, I hope. And so if you haven't, then please sign up for RootsTech. It's been really interesting now that it's going virtual. We're not charged. There's no fee. There's no charging a fee. It's free to everybody. It's a very interesting experience. We ended up having so many people register that we're having to build our own back end. So we're not using. We normally use another company to sort of help us, and that got too costly. So now we're building our own back end for RootsTech. So we're all exhausted and working hard to make sure it'll work. I think we'll pull it off. It won't, maybe a little belling wire and in there in the back end, but we think it'll be great. They're doing some interesting formats. They're going to have on RootsTech. You'll go to RootsTech link and They'll be pre-recorded. These will be pre-recorded activities. The live stuff would be like the main stage kind of things and the live talks, but I believe they'll also be available for looking at later. They're trying to do. There's going to be lots of different classes about lots of different subjects. I've been asked to do 4 sessions pre-recorded for RootsTech, and I'm going to be talking about what's new on FamilySearch and what's coming for both members and for public folks. Those will be pre-recorded as well. We'll also be able. You're right. We'll also be able to do, Lee. We'll also be able to do relatives at RootsTech. And we're going to take all of the information from the people that have registered and figure out how they're all related, and then show you that, so you can get that same experience as you've had on the mobile device when you were coming to RootsTech. We're going to do that on the site. I think you register with your FamilySearch account is how you're going to you register. I think some things will be able to be viewed and done without registration, but there'll be other things that you'll have to log in with your FamilySearch account. Like, I think they're going to provide a way for you to set up a little group, a group place where you can have other people join that group place. Like maybe you want to get together as relatives and talk to each other or chat with each other. And you'll be able to just click a button and create a place and have people go there and visit and get to know each other a little better. So I think that's be kind of fun. There'll be a chat that for each presentation, I believe, where you can, while the presentation is going on, you can enter in your questions, and there'll be people there to answer your questions. We're going to have a virtual expo hall where all of the vendors will have representation, and they'll have their videos for experience. Like you go sit at the booth and they present to you their products and wares and what they're planning on doing. So they'll be developing those, I'm assuming, and they'll be able to play those events you'll be able to go in and click and see those presentations from the booths. What do you mean by vendor options? I mean, you'll be able to see vendor booths, and they'll present their stuff, and you'll be able to ask them questions. And I don't know if I'm assuming they'd still give away things and give prizes and do all those same sort of things. Don't know. I'm not that deep in it. Yeah, but the expo hall will be there. And the prototypes that I've seen look pretty good, look really nice. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting experience, and it'll be interesting to see how many people actually come and watch. We have a lot more people have registered than any RootsTech before. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to buy a t-shirt or not. I don't know if who knows? I haven't heard anything about a RootsTech paraphernalia or t-shirts or bags or anything. It wouldn't surprise me. There's no reason why you couldn't do that and have they mail it to you or something. So I think they're trying to recreate everything and all the experiences you had. There's a lot of people who are registering who have small little trees, and so we're going to try to work with those people and help them build their tree up a little bit, because we want them to have a good experience. Because we're finding that RootsTech, as you have experienced it too, is a great place to connect. It's a great place to find about your relatives that attend and get to know them and develop a relationship and invite them to family reunions or communicate with them over the year. And we just feel like you can skip the bathroom stuff, right, and wandering around trying to find the water, things like that, and carrying your water bottle, all that stuff go away. Probably won't be as tired, except you'll be sitting all the time. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think I know we're working very hard to make sure that it's a great experience, and I know Jen Allen and her team really want it to be great, and we're going to have a bunch of different countries that are involved. So we have to start thinking about, doing presentations in different languages and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting and it's kind of cool to see what's happening and how much RootsTech is kind of growing with this expansion with virtual. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what that means in the future. I don't know if that means it'll go away or whether we'll have both or whether all virtual. The good thing about it is we'll be able to do whichever is best for RootsTech and for people that want to attend and learn things. So, well, now I was going to go look and see if there's some stuff I can talk about. I'm probably, in some of my presentations, I'm probably going to talk a little bit about things that have happened a while ago, because with all of the people that are registering for RootsTech, there's a lot of members that have registered this year that have never been to a RootsTech. And so I'll probably, in my stuff, I'll probably talk about some things that's been around for a while, just because they don't understand them. I think these people who haven't been to RootsTech probably haven't had an opportunity to ask questions and for me to talk about ordinances ready and how that works and stuff like that. By the way, if we do that if we get that group reservation stuff done, we would link it into ordinance ready. So you can just push ordinance ready and then we'll say, is it on your reservation list? If it isn't, we'll look on one of your group reservation lists that you're a member of. And then we'll continue from there with looking for a relative that's been shared with a temple. So let's see back where I was at. Oh, so I might talk a little bit about the stuff that's been around for a while, like how do you get a person to qualify? How does ordinances ready work? Why are there 90-day and 2-year reservations, and what's the difference? And why did we change colors of the temple icons? And we just recently released the ability to print cards without your contact name. There's not really much reason to do that here, but in other places it's more important for that. And then the concepts of, if you happen to be in an area where they're not returning cards, which we already talked about a little bit in here. So yeah, go register, get on there, get involved, and add some standards places. There's still millions of those that need to be done, and you're helping the community. We're looking for more and more community things. We probably have probably 4 or 5 things that are going on right now that our community wants to get together and do something together, like go through a census and make sure things are attached to people and make FamilySearch better, which I love and I appreciate that. And it's also kind of fun with these little get involved things, because it's sort of micro tasks, because it's something you can do, and once you've done it a few times, you get it and you understand it and you feel good about it, and it becomes something to do when you just want to rest from the researchy or rest from the other, but you just want to help the community, and you can jump in and do those things, and it's really great. We'll probably have more of these sort of things. I kind of call them micro tasks, because they're one kind of task, and you do that and you get good at that particular task, you enjoy it, and maybe after a while you want to try a different micro task. So I kind of like those things. I like those concepts, and it's stuff I've been talking about for a long time, but it's nice to be able to kind of start doing a few of them to see how they work and how people enjoy them. And we find people that are, do these a lot, and it's just wonderful. Okay, let's see. Thank you for asking some questions here. Yeah, Lynn, I agree. If you haven't never been to RootsTech, just it doesn't hurt to sign up for the virtual one and check it out and see if you can find some classes that would be really interesting and helpful. And you should go look around at it and take a look. RootsTech.org, I think, is where you're off to. Okay, if I start a group reservation list and later pass away, would it remain available to the group after my death? Yes. So the intent is that if you created the group and you invited these set of people to the group, that group still remains no matter whether your account is disabled or anything like that. And we may have to come up with a rule that somebody has to pick up the group. Only to manage the group. So if they want to invite some more people or they want to kick some people out or something like that, then you kind of need an owner to do that. Yeah, reverse indexing has been a hit. So tell us about why it's enjoyable, Judith. Why is that? Why does it make it easy? I'm sure you're typing away. I hope you are. Let me go back to my list here. And you've been around me enough, and I've leaked enough stuff that you probably know some other things. We're going to talk about shared family groups in the coming stuff. Ward and stake shared temple ordinances. So that's something we're going to probably be able to get going on. That's the one when if you share to the temple and we are looking through ordinances ready to find a name for you, and you don't have any related names, either on your, you don't have anything on your list that matches what you're looking for. You don't have anything in any shared groups that you're in. Instead of going and looking for a related name at the temple, what we'll do next is we'll look at, if you have a related name for temple, you give that. And then if we can't find any of that, then we'll give you a ward name. So now you're helping your ward out, or you're helping your stake out. And it's not really a ward list and a stake list. What it really is you share it with a temple, and then because you're in my ward, then if I can't get one of those names that are resolved by either being related on my list or related to me or in a group list, then I'll get a ward name or I'll get a stake name instead of just getting a general name off the reservation, off the temple list. So those have to be shared to the temple, and then but we'll hand out ward ones and then stake ones and then general ones, just to get the work closer to the people around you. Easy to do, and we know we are helping the computer to learn cursive writing. Oh yeah, right. Type reverse indexing in the URL and have some fun. Any new updates on cursive writing OCR tools? Well, we're always working on that stuff, and it's not. We really only do OCR or you're saying cursive writing. So that's a little different than OCR, but OCR is usually needed typed materials. So this is basically handwriting recognition, and it's sort of the nirvana for records and stuff. So we have teams looking into it. So we'll see how they're doing. When will the temple be open for proxy again? You have an inside. I'm assuming you mean thinking to have an inside to it. And the answer is, nah, I don't know. And the folks in the temple department that I meet with every week, nah, they don't know either. And it just comes when the first presidency makes its decision. First presidency in 12 make the decision to do whenever they're going to do it. So I have no idea when that would happen. Could happen soon, could happen a while. My understanding is that there's some places in the world where COVID is pretty small, not much there. I don't know if that would mean they would open those temples. I don't even know what countries they're talking about. I just heard that there are some areas that really have no more problems with coronavirus, and may or may not have a temple. But I don't know. I know when you know. I see it announced, and I get an email from the newsroom, and it tells me that this or that temple is now open for this level, and that's the same way you know it. So you'll know it when I know it. So I don't have any inside information. Unfortunately, they don't tell me that one because they don't know either. It just comes down from the brethren. Any discussions about how the 1950 census will be indexed? Will we be involved at FamilySearch? I think there will be some involvement, but that's actually a good thing to ask, so I can get people spun. We can get everybody informed as to what we're going to need. So I want to put in here, what will community do for 1950 census? Before I was doing any family history work, the censuses were like, it's annoyance to enter it in, and why would I ever go look at one? But now it's very interesting that you do a little family history, and all of a sudden you're like, come on, 1950, come on, 1950, because you want to get the people in there into the tree, and find out if they're living, they're deceased, they're attach them to their families so that we can do that work. So that's just kind of gets us all fired up a little bit. Isn't that interesting? What fires us up now? But anyway, this is a really great work. So I really am glad that I have an opportunity to participate in this. Has been really great ride, and I get fired up, as you can tell. Even though I was, an hour ago when my son's here, he says, "How you doing?" I was like, "I'm dying," because it was a long day today, and lots of things coming my way that need to be taken care of. And but I get talking about family history and the tree and everything, and I just get all fired up about it. And yeah, you're right, Warren. You know what's going to happen. That we get out the 1950 census, and everybody who's 20 will figure, gee, if they're in the 1950 census, they got to be dead. They said the same thing about everybody in the 1940 census. So we'll probably have plenty of people incorrectly marked, but we're trying to help with that, right? So what we're trying to do with the source linker when you're attaching those 1950s is, if there's no evidence of death in there, then we do some little tricks to get you to have to do extra stuff that you may not know about to try to mark them dead. And that's just to slow down the impulse to mark these people as deceased. Oh, really? So James talking about Bolivia has a cemetery in a smaller city that was set up by the government where exclusively for pandemic victims. About 200 burials found on billion graves. So there are issues almost everywhere. Yeah. Here in Australia, we have low numbers of COVID, but our temple is still closed. We can go back to sacrament number of people depending on the size of the chapel, but not classes. Yeah, we actually had church, but it only could be a certain number of people. So we were doing all A's to C's or something can come, and they did that for a little while. But we're not doing church anymore because our area went orange again, went red or whatever. Utah County has gone high again, so we're actually doing everything on Zoom now. So they may have a little sacrament with a handful of people, and they Zoom it, and then they or they may have stopped that. I don't know. I haven't checked it out recently, the last couple of Sundays. But then they have a Relief Society class and a priesthood class and a Sunday school class, and they're using Zoom and inviting all the members to participate on the Zoom call, and that's been interesting. It's been great. So we have the classes now, not the sacrament meeting in our area. Well, everyone, it's been great visiting with you. I hope that we've been able to answer some of your questions. It's been a good discussion. It was fun to talk about some of the things we're thinking about doing and trying to work on. I've taken something like 7 questions to go down and see if I can find some answers for our next time. Yeah, that's That's what we do too. They don't show the sacrament being blessed and passed. They just do the welcoming and the maybe a little talk or something. Oh, Zoom. Yeah, Zoom would work real great for seminary. That would be great. I don't know. The students, do you do early morning or is it during the day? So early morning might be tough to get the students up to do a Zoom call. Anyway, thank you very much. You all have a great evening, and I hope everyone stays well and healthy and stay away from that COVID stuff. And we'll see you on the 19th. You're right. That's my next one. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your time. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.